Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about a big issue that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes has, and for a lot of us it's the inability to play casually without having to completely change guilds or even completely miss out on really good rewards, right? And what I'm saying here is I'm not asking to be able to play casually every single day and set the game on auto and it does great. But there's a lot of ways that I think they could do some small things that would allow you to maybe play casually for a small period of time or adjust the game to better fit the lifestyle now. And we'll talk about this a lot more as we get into this video. So please like and subscribe, comment down below. Let's give our shout to the channel members again for continuing to keep their faith in me. Thank you guys so much for the faith, for the support, for the love. It's awesome to see. Whether you are a, just on the council or a Wampa Jedi Master, thank you guys again for just, like honestly backing me to bring you content that's good. I know sometimes I fail, but I try my best. So thank you guys. Let's get in here. All right, so this video has been something that I've kind of been working on in the background a lot, just thinking through the game. And one thing that kind of came up while I was on vacation was the energy, that I would oftentimes kind of log in and all of my energy would be maxed out because I wasn't constantly plugged in. And the big thing here that I was thinking is like, you know what? Why can we not just increase the energy bank? Like, why does it have to be 144? Why can't it be 200, 240, 280? Like it could be a lot higher. And the argument I have for that is when the game first launched, it made sense to have an energy bank that was a lot smaller. Made a lot of sense because otherwise what you kind of run into, if you will, is you wouldn't log into the game enough, right? The way that the energy would kind of, max out, so you'd have to log in multiple times a day because there wasn't a lot of content to play. But now you've got Fleet Arena, you've got Galactic Conquest, you have Galactic Challenges and all the, marquee events and, all these other battles there. You've got Grand Arena, territory battles, territory wars, raids. Like there's so many game modes that exist. There's so much content now. You don't really need an excuse to come back. Like energy is an excuse to come back. And I say that from the point that I found a lot of times on vacation that I'd be able to maybe log in to collect my energy, but I wouldn't be able to go through the motions of actually spending it on something that I would need, right? Like, and it doesn't sound like that much, but that was the truth of it, that it'd be easy just to like pop open and you'd be done. But to then go in, okay, I need this, was a little bit harder to find that time. And it doesn't sound like much, but it is when you're thinking about multiple kinds of energy. So having that bank be a lot higher would just allow players to be able to mold some of the parts of this game into their life, that they don't feel they need to log on every single second to, not every single second, but you get what I mean. And this would even help people as well from like the perspective that like you don't have to change the way you get the energy a couple times a day. But I do think that it would make players feel a lot better about being able to set that game down for a longer period of time. Because that is a big problem with SWGOH. When you hear a lot of players burn out and they talk about it, they're like, I can't get on all the time. And this could help alleviate some of that stress. Right? Again, like initially that it did make sense, but now like it's so different. So the next thing would be sim tokens. And this would go in two parts. So you have the raid and the territory battle where I think you could kind of earn something like this. And I think I want to credit Egnards with part of this because I think he had come up with it for the raid and I had even thought about it for TB. That you give us, how you have sim tickets that you can, spam your battles with, right? You've got this like, hey, I can sim with my 273,000 sim tickets. What I think would be really cool is to create a similar concept for both the raid and territory battles. Because those are two game modes that are, again, they're PvE. It's very easy to sit there and say, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to give Fat Phil a sim token for this. But you have to earn it. And I think the way you do this is through completing combat missions. Every combat mission, you'd earn points towards a sim token, right? That you could have them for phase 1, phase 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then all you would do is be able to go in here and, say, okay, I'm going to go into, I don't know, this battle. And, okay, I'm going to use, and I think the one caveat here would probably be that you'd have to, that you'd get them for, SLKR or something. That, you couldn't do something like this. This would be my one. You'd have to find a way, but, you can't use this as a team. You have to at least have, now, what I would argue, if I use these characters in Phase 3 enough, sure, this could count as a team win. But, realistically, just use a real team. That would be my one caveat for that, is, it has to be characters that you're actively using, so that you can't just, spam a random team of all Relic 7 characters or Relic 9 characters because you have this massive roster. That it's got to be characters that you are actively using in that phase. But I think that could be really, really good for the player base, because you think about how often, you're not often on vacation, right? I don't often take vacation. But when I do, I want to be able to enjoy it. And thankfully, it was a territory war week, so I just didn't even join. But I thought, man, what if it was territory battles? My guild would really be up a creek without a paddle if I wasn't able to do TB. And what if I had to do territory battles, but then that meant sacrificing Grand Arena or other parts of the game to be able to do TB? It's a lot of stuff. So if they had something like these sim tokens that you can earn from actively participating with the game to its fullest extent, that once in a while you could pull out of the game and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to kind of sim through these and we're going to move on. I think that would be really, really good for the game, right? Just that ability to not have to sit down every once in a while and not have to play through every single battle would be super nice. And I think for the raid, this would be even easier to implement, right? Because they can track your score with every single team. So, every time you post a certain amount of score with a team, you earn points towards a sim token, whether it's a modifier of a half point, a third, or a fourth. I don't care, right? But just a way to stack these. And hey, you know what? I'm on vacation and, I don't feel like trying to get 3.6 million with Queen Amidala. Oh, I've earned a sim token for them. I'm going to use it. Hey, you know what? I ran into some stuff. I'm busy. I don't have time to do this one. We're going to use a sim token. That would be the way to do this. And you would just earn them based on the level of difficulty that you're playing at, right? I don't have a problem with that. I think that could be really good for this game. You're not trying to allow us to, and I want to be clear of how I'm saying this. I'm not trying to make it so that way you never have to raid or TB again. It's something that you earn through playing it regularly, right? It's not you're not just, oh, I never have to play this again. You earned it because you are participating. You're getting a reward for, bringing content to the game and them saying, hey, you know what? We recognize that life gets busy. This game has been going on for a while. Here's some ways to make it easier. And again, I understand a lot of you will say, well, Phil, just join a, easier guild. I don't want to join a lower level guild for a week and then you've got to do all the logistics and stuff. It's such a nightmare. And you've got raid blackouts and stuff. I think allowing us to have something like those sim tokens for just even those two events could really help alleviate a lot of the stressors that we feel as players. Now, the other thing I would say there, because they need to do stuff that makes them money, is you'd have to sell them, right? You absolutely would have to sell them. And I would have no problem with them selling it. I think that would be a big hit for a lot of those players who are in the top end of the game who, hey, you know what? I don't feel like playing this today. Here's my credit card, swipe it, and I'm done. I honestly believe that would keep a lot of people probably playing this game who spend the money, right? They don't get, a lot of times you hear it's not the money that burns people out as much as it is just feeling like they constantly have to stay plugged in. So there's one way that you could kind of alleviate that. The last thing I thought of here is an unranked kind of Grand Arena. So as I told you guys in my account update, I went up and down in this season of GAC because I really wasn't able to give it my fullest attention. So what I thought would be cool is having a kind of ranked and unranked Grand Arena, where ranked GAC is what you see here, right? It's this. But unranked GAC, you don't earn nearly as many crystals, but it doesn't impact your skill rating. And it just is it's an easier type of game mode, right? That there's less stress about it because there's not as much of a difference for winning and losing, and you just would make it so that way by me hopping down into unranked GAC, I have a stable source of crystals, but I don't really have to think, right? I don't want to have to fight somebody on my level 3 times during that week or however long you are away. Because that can be really challenging to do, right? It's brutal. Like, I can tell you, it's brutal trying to do GAC when you can't give it your fullest attention because you just, you make mistakes or you think you miss up and then you lose and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you lose all these battles and then, you got to work hard to go win a bunch. It'd be really nice to have an unranked GAC that you could go back into and say, you know what? I'm not going to be able to give GAC my fullest attention. I'm just going to pause my skill rating. I'm not going to earn as many crystals, but I can come back and still be at whatever level I was when I left. And I think that would also even help players who maybe don't like GAC as much. They can go to unranked and it's not as big of a problem for them. Now, again, you don't get as many crystals for doing an unranked kind of GAC, but I do think it would at least help, alleviate some of the stressors players feel. So, I don't know. You guys tell me how much of those you think could happen. I doubt that they'll make any of it happen, but it was something I thought about that could really help you be able to play this game casually. Because that's the number one thing you hear from players when they burn out is there's too much going on. I don't have the time for all of this. And I think in a lot of ways, they're very right. There is a lot to do in this game. And there's not a lot that Capital Games has in place to help you. Like you can say, oh, we'll just auto your territory battles. But TB, a lot of those missions, unless you're Egnards, you kind of need to manually play them. The raid. This raid is not at all autoable. So you've got to really kind of play around with the raid and, do the right moves and everything and remod. Like, it takes a while. So every, for whether it would be like once a month or, every 3 months or something, that you were able just to sit back and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a break and come back feeling refreshed. Because I can tell you that, like, I'm excited for my next territory war. After taking that week break, I'm excited for my next territory war. And territory wars is normally something that I dread. So, just some food for thought. I hope you guys are listening at CG, that you hear some of this stuff, because I want players to keep playing this game, right? I want this game to continue. I love playing this game. I make content on YouTube about this game. Like, this game's awesome. It would just be nice if you recognize that by giving us that break, like, hey, here, Capital Games employees, you want to hear this? Would you work for CG if they told you you can never take a vacation day? The answer would be no, right? Like, the whole, like, I don't want to work every day of my life. Like, I want vacation. I want weekends. So think of that with, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Give us those opportunities to have those weekends, to have that vacation, and still come back and not really have lost all that much. So that's my plea to you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with this list? Is there something I missed? I love you all so much. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, my friends.